It's going to be a continuation of my Middle Eastern fragrance review, the recent haul I got in. I have decided just generally I'm going to try to make more consistent, but also, more well planned out, I guess, videos, in the sense that I'm going to try to have, at least once a week where I'm reviewing a Middle Eastern fragrance, similar to what I've obviously been doing. Also, I'm going to bring back, to some extent, the larger Clone Wars videos, just kind of to give an update on videos I'd done in the past. Like I'd done a large Leighton review. I'm going to be doing that. And I'm going to be doing one with Aventus. I'm going to be doing with Elysium, comparing all the clones to the real thing. And the way I'm going to do that, since there are so many, since I have so many, and there's clones from, actual clone houses like Dua, Alexandria, King Fragrances, Genre, Sensual Obsessions, Making Sense, all of them. There's a million of them. And then there's also clones from actual, houses that aren't clone oil kind of companies, like Lalique and Black, Detour Noir, Armaf, those kind of things where it's more of like I guess, more mass-produced clone house, and then you have the smaller clone houses. So to kind of give it some order, I think I'm going to break those down, say for the Leighton videos, into a series. It's not going to be very long. I'll probably have 3 videos total. One of them is going to be comparing, the, again, kind of more mass-marketed Armafs, Al Haramain, those kind of clones together, and then seeing which one comes out on top, and then comparing, in my opinion, obviously, the clone house, like Dua, Alexandria, etc., against each other, and seeing which one I think comes out on top in those, and whatever the category is as far as whichever fragrance I'm reviewing, and then take the winners of both of those and, kind of do a review on both of those, and which one I think ultimately is the best, considering all factors, including longevity, how close it is to the real thing, price point, etc. So that's how I'm going to do those. Those are going to be coming up. The first one's going to be Leighton. Then I'm probably going to do Elysium, and then Aventus. Aventus is going to be based on a new batch, because that's what I have. I have smelled the older batches, but there's just too many factors in it. So it's going to be comparing it to a new batch. As far as scent profile goes, take it for what it's worth. Again, this isn't going to be going into any of the vintage batches. Now I can speak to the ones I am familiar with, and I will to whatever degree that I can. But anyway, to get back into this, this is going to be a review of a Lattafa fragrance. This is from my recent Middle Eastern haul. This has been very well received generally from people that have tried it. It is, been compared to several different types of really popular fragrances, which we'll get into in a minute. As you can see, the box is actually really nice. Golden black, looks really cool. As is with, honestly, a lot of these Middle Eastern fragrances, the presentation on these are very good, for the price point. So, anyway, this is by Lattafa. The bottle just kind of sits in there. It's kind of loose. Here's the bottle. Again, kind of cool design. It's etched in there. Kind of cool gradient. Fingerprint magnet a little bit, but nice magnetic cap. Gold atomizer. The atomizer itself is pretty good. It's not crazy, but it's all right. Now, I have worn this. Okay, so I wanted to give a actual full review, not a first impressions. I've worn this. I can speak to it. Here's the thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray this now, but this has been compared by some people to Hacviat by Nishane or Aventus. If you look at the notes, so if you're going for Fragrantica, and kind of here's the issue you run into. You go on Fragrantica, the notes are wild berries, birch tar, woodsy notes, apple, bergamot in the opening. Top notes, mid is woodsy notes, jasmine, patchouli, rose, and floral notes. And the base is musk, ambergris, oak moss, and vanilla. Okay. So there's no pineapple listed in there, notably, which is obviously the main kind of component that you're getting in something like Hacviat or Creative Ensis. There is bergamot, and bergamot can certainly come off like pineapple. There's also apple in there. There's also vanilla, rose, oak moss. A lot of the notes and the floral components, all those overlap with the Creative Ventus, Nishane Hacviat. But if you get the little pamphlet that comes in this thing, and you look at the notes that aren't on Fragrantica, that's what it's got. Saffron, pineapple, so there is pineapple listed. There's also saffron, which is not listed in the Fragrantica ones. There's jasmine, fir balsam, also not listed. Oud, cedarwood, and amber. Okay, so the notes are very different, and that's just an observation. Now, what I get from it, I certainly get pineapple. So I would say, and in common sense would tell you, this pamphlet from the actual manufacturer is probably more accurate than the Fragrantica. So that's just to point that out. If you go on Fragrantica, it's probably not, the note breakdown is not accurate to what it actually is. But yeah, if you go on there, if you go on the review section, the perfume reminds me of a Fragrantica. A lot of people say Hacviat's the most number one. There's also Black XS, Creed, etc., Creative Ventus. So what I get from it, and this is really kind of, again, what really tells me this is right, other than the common sense that this is actual manufacturer's pamphlet, you get a super juicy pineapple in the opening. Okay, there's also a very noticeable sweetness. So, and that's coming from the saffron. It'll remind you of that like 540 sweetness to an extent, but very juicy, bright pineapple, saffron backing, again giving it that sweetness. Now there is this kind of spicy bite to it, and so doesn't have oak moss listed in the actual breakdown in the pamphlet. It does have cedarwood and amber. And there certainly is this woodsiness about it. And this is why I don't think it reminds me of Hacviat personally, as Hacviat has a very prominent oak moss accord that's pretty heavy. And I think that's why it can be sometimes can be polarizing to some people, is the fact that oak moss can come off very harsh. It can come off almost like petrol sometimes. And that can rub some people the wrong way. That's why I think, to me, Nishane Hacviat is more polarizing than something like Creative Ventus as far as the mass appeal factor goes. Now, anyway, so what you're getting, you get this nice, juicy, bright pineapple with the sweetness from the saffron, and that hangs around throughout the entire scent. Pineapple does not fade. It's going to be there retained. You're going to have the same scent profile. It doesn't change a whole lot throughout the dry down, throughout the mid. The brightness gets a little dialed back, but it's still going to be there. Okay, and there is this woodsy spiciness to it, and that's what really gives me an appreciation for this fragrance a lot more than it otherwise would. It's going to instantly remind you of Middle Eastern fragrance because of that. It's got that spiciness and something you're going to get from something like Side Effect by Initio, or Atomic Rose. There's that kind of spicy kick to it, and what that does when you have this kind of sweetness from the saffron and that juicy pineapple, it keeps it from going too far in one direction. This is certainly unisex. I would even say maybe slightly masculine because of those spices, but it is sweet. Okay, this is something that I have worn in the heat. I wouldn't wear in the high heat. It certainly could be cloying because of that sweetness, but man, does it smell good. It's certainly going to get you noticed. People are going to pick up on it. People are going to smell it. It's mass appealing, very mass appealing, and it's a performer. Longevity is great. Okay, so it's going to project really well, and it's going to last. I get 7-8 hours out of this easy. I spread it on my skin, was there all day on skin. Okay, so clothing's going to be even more, but it is a performer. It could even cut through the cold weather. It's very versatile. Again, it's just something I wouldn't wear in the high heat, but I think it's appropriate for the summer if it's not super hot. Definitely spring, fall, winter. Again, this could cut through that. It's got that spicy kick to it. It is loud. It projects. I don't think it would have any issue cutting through and it just smells really good. I mean, again, you gotta like pineapple. That's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get this bright, juicy pineapple with the sweetness from the saffron. It's gonna remind you of something like Casino Elixir, Game Time. You know, again, those combos where you have Creed Aventus and 540, Baga Rouge 540, the hybrids. Any sort of variation of that, Pineapple Aphrodisiac, Kings, Tinsel Obsessions, I think probably has one. You know, every company pretty much now has one. It's going to remind you of kind of like that, okay? Or to some extent, like Supremacy Silver, you know, whatever the newest Intense is, not only Intense. It's going to remind you of that to an extent. You know, that's got more oak moss in it, so that does kind of lean kind of more in the Hashvat direction. This is more a sweeter version of that. It is redundant, I think, if you have a lot of those fragrances, but it's good. It performs, and it is affordable. Again, the presentation's good. To me, this is you know, no-brainer. It's definitely going to go in when I do my video for my favorite Middle Eastern fragrances so far. This will be in that video. It's good. So yeah, if you have any questions, you know, just ask them in the comment sections. Anything you'd like to see me review, any other suggestions for this channel, I'm certainly open to any and all input. Again, this is a pretty linear fragrance, but it smells amazing. It lasts, it performs, it's cheap. Brute, juicy, sweet pineapple, okay, with some spiciness that's going to kind of kick it up, and woods that are going to keep it from going too far in one direction. Again, unisex. Women can wear this, men can wear this. I think it does lean a little in the masculine department just because of, you know, that spiciness, but it's super sweet. So it kind of, it rides that line really well. Anyway, that's my review of this. Again, this is from the House of Lattafa. You can get it for, I don't know, I think I got this for 16 bucks or 20 bucks. Very cheap. Fragrance by CA has it a lot. You can get it on eBay. The Oud store, he's got it, but I think it's more like 35 bucks on his store. So anyway, check it out. It's, in my opinion, a no-brainer.